California STEAM Symposium and what we need to do as reviewers to be able to take all the different presentation proposals that have come in and give them very fair grading. And so what we're hoping to do is make sure that we're all kind of on the same page for making sure that we are calibrated so that our grading is as close as possible to being, where we have certain norms that we're following as we're grading it. So I welcome you. I'm Karen Warner with the California STEAM Symposium at CDEF. And you certainly can reach out to me if you have questions after you've watched this video or as you are reviewing. If you have any questions, I'm here to help you. And I do thank you for your time, whether you're here with us now or you're in the recording watching. We do appreciate your time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you just an overview as who even comes to the symposium. So the people who are wanting to present, who are they presenting to? Just want to give you some framing for that. I'm going to show you how to do things like how do I log in to even begin to review? And then as I'm reviewing, what is it that we need to do to be sure that we're giving a fair grading? And of course, there'll be time for you to do it as well, and I'll be here to help you. So just as a quick overview, who comes to the symposium and what are they expecting? These are peer-to-peer sharing of expertise in the breakout sessions. So, it's teachers who are teaching about what it is that's working well or their lessons learned. It's people who have done research in the area that they want to share out. It is not vendors trying to sell something during a breakout session. So last year we had a survey and the surveys were graded by participants 4.1 out of 5. So they really did enjoy and find useful the presentation. So it's worth our time to give these a good review because we want to bring great content to the STEAM Symposium in February. People were saying they really liked having ready, accessible resources, websites, research that they could use when they got back to their site. And they really loved it because they came from different places, whether it was a kindergarten teacher, middle school, high school, whether they were a TOSA, they were able to get something that was meaningful to them. I would say that over 33% are educators who have been in that career for 11 to 20 years. We have made a concerted effort to bring in newer educators to the symposium. So we think that's a good leverage point to be able to help them see how they belong in STEAM, and then they can in turn bring that to their classrooms. And people say the main reason that they attend the symposium is for the content that is provided, both in the breakout sessions, whether it's a 60-minute breakout session or some of our quick talks, for the networking opportunities, and then for personal growth and development. And this year, our theme is You Belong in STEAM, as it was last year. And, this is really focusing on creating conditions to nurture student agency, identity, and inclusion through joyful STEAM learning experiences. And this isn't just for the students. We want the educators who come to realize they also belong in STEAM. They are in the right place, and that we welcome them and they can bring all those learning experiences back to their students who also belong in STEAM. As you're reading through the presentations that I have assigned to you, presenters might be coming from different places. They may be highlighting ways that they themselves have experienced in their own classrooms, how they were able to excite student passion, curiosity, innovation. There may be some intentional collaborations they've been a part of, and they want to share how they've helped to unlock some new opportunities for their students. Could be that they have lessons or some maybe they're helping people develop some units in the area of STEAM and how to fully integrate different areas that typically have been siloed for from a student's point of view. And then there people are always looking for, what are some new strategies, or are there some sort of collaborations or community practice that have been helpful? So I have mentioned that You Belong in STEAM is our theme, and we also have pathways, or I guess you would say tag words, because we'll have a mobile app that the people who come to the symposium will be able to use, and they'll be able to use the tag words that are associated with different presentations to be able to filter and figure out whether that session is something that they're interested in, whether it's in an area like artificial intelligence, or whether it's something that's really geared toward, let's say, towards administrators. Then they can use these different tag words and narrow down from the 100+ breakout sessions, the ones that they really want to attend. So I've put here in this slide a place for you to click if you would like to go deeper into what does You Belong in STEAM mean, and if you want to see a list of all of our tag words. I've provided that here for you. I'm not going to go through it now, but feel free to look at it if you would like. So what I'm going to do first is just orient you and let you know a couple of things that I think you may be wondering. One is, how do I even log into this system, this CVent portal? And then what does the grading process look like generally? After I answer those two questions, then I'm going to actually go live into the portal. I will show you the grading process, and I will then submit my grades, and then you will be able to go through it yourself and try it yourself. So just as an overview, and you probably did get in your inbox an email from me that had a link in it, and I can also give you the link here during this session, that would help you to log in. So you would get to CVent, and there's login, and once you log in, you'll be looking for my reviews. Some of you may have submitted presentations, and so you have your own submission. That's what my submissions is. If you didn't submit a presentation proposal, then that would be blank for you. But what you're looking for with the hat you're wearing right now, as a reviewer, you're going to be looking for my reviews. When you click on my reviews, then you'll see the titles of the presentations that I've assigned to you, and then you can click review. And keep in mind that after you review a presentation proposal, and let's say you've reviewed a few more, and it kind of, as you're reflecting, you're thinking, I think I was a little too harsh, or whatever you think. If you would like to go back and edit a previous one, you can certainly go back and click on that edit button. And up until November 15th, that's the deadline for all reviews. After that point, I'll close the portal, and then I'll take the final grades and start deciding who we're going to accept as presenters of the breakout sessions. Again, just as an overview, when we get in, you'll notice that the things that are here in black are the things that, in black font, those are the things that the person who is submitting the proposal, that's what they were reading. The parts you'll be reading are here in the blue, so it's in a different color, so you can scan down and realize, oh, okay, these are the things they were asked, and here in the blue are the things that I'm going to read as the reviewer. And you will also be asked early on, before you review, do you think this might be a vendor or an exhibitor? If you think it is, after you've read the description, we would ask for you to type in here, potential vendor, potential exhibitor, so that we'll know that this is someone we should reach out to and invite them to be a part of our expo hall, because we do not... Our breakout sessions are not meant for someone who says, hey, you know what, I've created these really great robots. I think students will really enjoy working with them. And so here's my hour-long session telling you how great our robots are and why you should buy them. That's really more appropriate, because they could be wonderful robots, but it's really more appropriate for the expo hall. People are not expecting that kind of content for a breakout session. So if you feel like it's a vendor, I ask you just to let me know here. And then as you're going through the grading process, you can give it just the lowest grade. Go click, click, click. Don't put any thought to it. And I'll go back and then determine if it's a vendor, then I'll reach out to them. If it's like, no, you know what, this is actually a classroom teacher, and I investigate a little bit and realize we do want to review it. I just had that happen this week. I reached out to the person, found out what their role is, and a little bit more about their presentation, and now people are reviewing it. But I didn't want them to review it if it was going to be a vendor. So you're going to be asked to rate the proposal on a scale of 5 to 1, 5 being the highest, like absolutely this presentation is well written, well defined. Absolutely it's clearly describing how this can engage people. And the 1 would be this really not at all, and then everything in between from slightly up to very. So everything is on this score of the 5 to 1, and poor is 1 is either poor or not at all. And this is just a screenshot of the types of questions you'll be asked, but I'm going to go ahead and go into the system to be able to let you see live how I would go in and grade. I did want to call out here that there will be a place for you to, that isn't scoring, but it will ask for your feedback if you have comments or suggestions. So I'd like for you to think of this section as you're talking to me, because I will read anything you type in here. So if you say, this is a critical presentation for this area, it's in the area of math framework, and I think it's spot on, and people need to hear this messaging. Or if it's like, I think this person, if you reached out to them, they probably have good content, but this was really just not a good submission. Anything you say here, I'll take seriously, and I'll take action on if it warrants action. So that would be one area where it's not asking you to rate something, it's just providing you a space to share additional comments or thoughts. So now we're going to go into the actual portal. And I've assigned myself some presentations to review. Now, when you come in, you'll see that there's wording down here, and this is as if you were going to make a submission, but that's already closed. So the submission, the call for proposals is closed. So the part you're looking for, remember, is log in. Now, if you haven't been in before, you're going to need to create an account, and that would be your email address and a password. I have logged in before, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to type in my username and my, I'm sorry, I don't think I can type correctly and speak, so give me 1 second. And apparently I'm going to have to do it twice. So now I'm into the system once I correctly did my password. And so I'm going to go down, and I can see it says my submission. So if I go down here, this was my test that I did. But what you're interested in with your reviewer hat is my reviews. So we're going to click on my reviews. And I have 2 different presentations here that I've assigned myself. So I'm going to go ahead and click in to this review. And you'll notice that, just as I mentioned earlier, there's the black font that is what the person who submitted, this is what they read. And the blue is what you will be reading and evaluating. There's some things that you will not see the person's name, that is hidden, but you will see some demographic information. And we also this year have asked people, are you able to, have you already secured funding for your attendance at this? Because we're trying to determine, some people are like, I can only come if I present. It's good for us to know. Some people maybe, I'm having trouble getting funding, and then we can give them some ideas on how they can secure funding. So this isn't something you need to concern yourself with, but that is what the person is responding to. So you will start here where it is their title. So now you know that this is about a collaborative math project, an exploration. This top area here is about a detailed description of the presentation. And we've told them that this is for you as the reviewer, and only the reviewers will be able to see this. This is not something that's going to show up in the mobile app. That's a different description. So their job here is in 2,000 characters or less. They are to give you the gist of what this presentation is about, how the experience might be for someone, and give you, and they're trying to paint the picture for you. Do keep in mind they only had 2,000 characters, so it may be a little less than what you want, but believe me, after you've reviewed about 15 of these, you're happy that it's only 2,000 characters. So you will carefully read through this detailed description, and then you will go and we ask, do people have to bring devices? Are you providing devices? So that'll give you a little more information about what is the experience for the end user. And then we ask them to give the brief description. And this is for our mobile app. So this is what our attendees will see. So not only will they use those tag words to find out what the session is about, but then they can read the 600 character or less description of the breakout session. If the person has a presentation link or a file because the presentation is already created, we invite them to upload that, and that is for you to see. We will not share that with anyone else except reviewers, but this is not required. So don't think negatively of the person if they haven't given it to you. It is not required, but we thought if you have it, or you have something you're working on you would like to share, or there's some research you're working on you'd like to share, we wanted to give them the chance to share it and you the chance to view it. The other part that they are asked about is what format is best for their presentation. And so they can have a 60-minute interactive. They could have a 60-minute panel discussion. And then we also have 30-minute quick talks, which tend to be, if you're going to discuss just one topic or just show one brief thing and have a quicker kind of session, that's something that they could also let us know that if it's a format that's better for the type of presentation they have planned. And then we want to be sure that they understand that one of the ways this year we will be having breakout session classrooms built into our makerspace area. And so for some people, if they're doing making and they need a lot of materials and space, and it's going to be kind of a noisier learning environment, we would like for them to tell us that they would like that kind of environment, or they could say, you know what, I can do it in a traditional breakout room, or I can do it there, either one. And then some people may be like, no, that we're going to be talking about, a serious topic. We need to have some quiet reflection areas. And so then they would let me, and this is mostly for me to know as I'm scheduling, so I can figure out which type of room. But for you, it will give you a little idea of what they have planned for their presentation. We've asked them to give us some tag words. They had a drop-down list, and they could choose up to 3 of what we call pathways. So this person chose arts integration, creativity and design thinking, and math framework. We also asked them what grade level this is most aligned with. So they've chosen that. And then we asked them the target audience. And so for this, classroom educators would really benefit from this, as would after-school educators. Again, it's a drop-down list they chose from. So you'll see different categories of a target audience based on what the submission is. And then also information for you is the state content standards that are going to be aligned. If it's possible that they would be talking on a topic that has no standards, but for the most part, they all have standards that they're aligned to. So the next part that's going to give you some information is you're going to see, the theme that runs throughout the symposium is equity and access to, really high impact STEAM experiences. And we want to know how their presentation aligns with being culturally relevant, being inclusive, being diverse. It depends on what the presentation is about, but this is their chance to let you know their thinking in that and what they'll be conveying to our attendees. And then we know from feedback that people want takeaways. When they leave, they want to have something that maybe the symposium will end on a Saturday, maybe it's on that Monday, or maybe it's in the next quarter or semester, but they want to know that they have something that they can take back, either a new idea or some sort of maybe student samples that they can use and then share with people back at their site. And as I mentioned, you're then going to have your work to do. So now you've read what the person who submitted, what they said. So now you're going to rate this proposal that you just read. So as I said before, this is the area where you would tell me if it's a potential vendor or exhibitor. I don't think this is, so I'm going to leave that blank. If there's a red little asterisk, then you do need to indicate something there. This one does not have that, so you would just leave this blank. And so now it wants to know that is this proposal aligned to the symposium's theme of You Belong in STEAM? And so you're going to make the judgment. Where do you think? Is this absolutely, it's committed to advancing equity in STEAM? So you will rate it, and you will rate, is this seem to you like it's excellent peer-led professional learning? Is it likely a high interest topic, something that's really going to be relevant to a wide range of teachers, or maybe this is something that education thought leaders are really going to want to dig into? Is it well written, well defined? Does it give you a clear idea of the key topics, the learning objectives, and who the target audience is? The proposal, is it clearly describe an engaging session? People do not want to sit and get when they come to the STEAM Symposium. We want hands-on, we want interactive, we want people talking. So is this something that you think people can actively interact with? Does it address concepts of diversity, equity, inclusion, and/or access to STEAM? Do you think it would be beneficial to participants? Is this real-world information that would be great for them, a technique, some sort of new idea? And then think about those shareable takeaways. Are they getting something for their time spent listening to this presentation? And then at the end, it's, okay, overall, given everything we just asked and you rated, what do you think? And then you will give your overall rating. And then this is where you can have what you think you want to let me know, but you don't have to. If you're like, I said enough in just what I said up here when I rated it, but if there's something you want me to know, then you would put it here. So let's say in the middle of all of this, you get a phone call and you have to stop. You can just do save and you can finish it later. I've finished, so I'm going to click submit. And then that's going to come up and it is going to give a grade, and I can certainly edit this at any time up till midnight on November 15th when it's the deadline. So if you're one who's like, oh, I'm not sure I want to submit, maybe I'm being too harsh or maybe I'm being too easy on this, go ahead and submit and you can always go back and edit. So just know nothing's in stone until midnight, November 15th. So I'm going to pause there because that was a lot, and see if there's any questions. And then I'm going to go through and we're going to try something together. All right. And Lynn, if you'll check the chat and let me know if any questions come in, because my time is your time. I don't want to be going so fast that you don't get a question answered right when you need. Okay, we're going to jump
on the chat, Karen. Nothing on the chat. We're pretty quiet here.
Okay, that's fine.
Everything's understood.
Okay, that's fine. Any questions that come up, please let me know. Okay. So now we're going to practice together reviewing a past proposal. So what I'm going to do here, and I know there's not a lot of people right now with me synchronously, but let's go ahead and try this together. And if you're watching the recording, think about this. How would you score this? So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to read. This is a sample description. So I took this from the portal And it's just that detailed description that the person submitted, not the brief, and it's not all the standards and everything. So take a couple of minutes, read this, and then think, how would you score it? So I'll be quiet for a moment so you can read it. Okay, I'm going to stop us there. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you and you were still reading a bit, but based on what you've read so far, if I were to say, well, overall, what do you think about what this person is proposing to present at the STEAM Symposium? Well, I guess first let me just ask you overall. Would you say, well, this is a 5? Absolutely, this is something that we should consider accepting. Is it a 4? This is a very compelling presentation. 3, you know, it starts to get like, I could go either way. 2 is like, this is really weak. And 1 is like, not at all. We can't really consider this. So I'm going to ask you, if you would, put in the chat which number, 5 through 1, would you rate this, just given the little bit of information you know? And let's see how we score. So if you'll put in your overall, I'm just going to put in my number and hit return and let it waterfall in. Thank you. So, Lynn, do you have an idea what you're thinking? Okay, so we have
very descriptive for me, Karen. Very clear.
I love this. We have a 5, a 4, and a 3. Okay, so let's just share with each other why a 5, a 4, or a 3. And I actually gave this training last week as well to a different group. And I can tell you there also was a wide range, and I'll tell you what some of their thinking is. So Lynn or Jeff, would you like to share just why you thought that seemed appropriate?
I put it as a 3 because it's the first one I've read. And you talked about being able to go back and edit. So I thought it could have been a 4, but I said I'll go 3 the first one, and then I can always go back and readjust after I see other ones.
You know, I think that's good thinking, because it's like you don't want to get hung up with like, I can't decide, right? You just go with your gut, and then you exactly, you can always go back. Lynn, what were you thinking?
Well, so if this is my very first proposal, I'm already receptive to because it looks like it's very engaging, it's well structured. I mean, I'm not a math person, but I can easily understand what this person is trying to present. So I think I'm easily pleased.
And you know what? And that's why we're having this norming, is just so that we understand ourselves, so that we can kind of calibrate within ourselves, but also to hear like, well, how did other people kind of judge this? And just so you know, every presentation gets at least 2 reviews. And so if you are like 5 most of the time, and let's say Jeff is 3 most of the time, it's going to come out to a 4. If I see something that somebody's a 2 and somebody's a 5, all of those that have a pretty big range between them. Some presentations get 3 and 4. So we make sure on the back end that people get a fair reading. And also I have to say, this wasn't an exactly fair thing for me to ask you to do, because all I gave you was the description, right? So last week when I did the same training, there were some folks and they were also 3 to 5, but then as I let them read more about the description, and then they got to see like how it aligns to equity and what the standards are and that sort of thing, they started to come in and grade it closer. It was interesting because one person in particular said, if I went to this and they're doing stuff with pasta, and she said, I'm a math person, this would make me crazy. And she at first thought that this was like, why would people go to this? By the end of the discussion, she was like, you know what, I'm a math person, but I realize people come at things at different angles, and this could be the exact on-ramp to get somebody to come in and look at the math framework and be able to see how their passions align with the math if they came at it with a more art kind of lens. So I have to say, I'm sorry I didn't give you everything, but I wanted you to just sort of jump into the deep end and then realize that when you're actually doing this, you're going to be asked a lot of other questions after you've read everything about, is it, does it have clear topics and objectives? Is it, is it a high interest topic? So you have other things about takeaways that you'll be considering, so that when you get to the point of saying, now, how do you feel about it? Lynn, you may be like, oh, it's pretty good, but I think they could have, I'm not really sure that they're hitting everything, so I'm giving it a 4. And then Jeff could be like, you know what, they actually gave me more than I thought, and this seems like a strong presentation. And you both may end up at 4 by the end of it. You don't have to, but I can see that when you have more information, you could make a better judgment. So now that we've kind of looked at like, what are some of the weaknesses of this proposal, but all we had was the description. I actually have on this slide a link that you can go and see sample proposals. So the one you just read, the collaborative math project exploration, this in green is what the person submitted. And so you've read that, but you haven't had a chance to see all the other things that they have said. So I'm going to give you time now. If you would like, you can go through and see the whole sample. And when you get down to the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and just give you the big reveal. This is a last year's presentation. Reviewers, I think we had 3 different reviewers on this one, and the grade was 4.19 once you took everybody's into account. So somewhere between a 3 and a 5. You guys actually, if we were to take it just on what you said, you would have ended up, this presentation would have ended up with close to that. So I wanted to give you a chance. There's 3 samples in this document. You do not have to sit here with me and go through all of this, because I know you have probably had a long day already, but I wanted to give you something. So if you want to practice or just be able to scroll through, kind of read through it and see how other people last year scored it, you are welcome to do that. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and help you get into the portal and make sure you're set up. And then the rest of the time, up to 5 o'clock, I'm just going to be here. If you want to like click into one and try something and ask me questions, my time is your time. I want to just do whatever it is that is most helpful for you. I do want to let you know that the deadline, as I mentioned, is Friday, November 15th. And you should have received, both of you, I emailed yesterday through the CVent portal, and it should have said something about, that I've assigned you something, and then it has a link for you to click. I also have the link here for you to click in the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and just thank everyone, because I'm going to stop the recording, but I'm going to thank everybody for their time. And then for those of you who are here with me right now, we'll continue together as you need. So if you'll give me just a moment, I'm going to stop the recording.